After all of this time fighting COVID-19, did you ever think we would still be quarantined?
Now we're here to introduce a Bravo review.
You don't have to get up, because it's virtual too.
Lay back in your bed.
On your couch, you can flip.
It's not in a Zoom room, so pants can be skipped.
We have music and mayhem and fancy fun words.
Lots of surprises from our Bravo Theater nerds.
So settle down now, and please, don't be scared.
Back up slowly, calm down, there won't be any bears.
Except for your teddies.
And maybe a date.
Which may just be wine, or some cheese on a plate.
We're not here to judge, we're just here to play.
Welcome to Elevate, a Bravo Cabaret. We did it! You just saw a dozen alum. I can't believe I got that kind of a sum. Oh, a message from Matt. I'm doing a song. And Bonnie, your rhymes have gone on for 2.
You're on your own in a world you've grown. A few more years to go. Don't let the hurdle fall to be the girl you love, to be the girl you love. I'll wait, so show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else, we're alone now. I'll wait, so show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else, we're alone now. Suddenly I'm hit, is this darkness or the dawn? And your friends are gone, and your friends won't come. So show me where you fit in. So show me where you fit in. I'll wait. So show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else. We're alone now. 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 Suddenly I'm hit. Is this darkness or the dawn? And your friends are gone, and your friends won't come. So show me where you fit in. So show me where you fit
It's sometimes hard for me to remember that I didn't actually meet Erica as a camper or a counselor at Camp Bravo. But since we've been serving together for 3 years as founding members of the Alumni Committee, she now feels like an integral part of my Bravo experience. Her performance tonight is about elevating yourself through hard work and determination, and rising above your circumstance. Swing it away, Erica.
In the eye of a hurricane there is quiet for just a moment. A yellow sky. When I was 17, a hurricane destroyed my town. I didn't drown, I couldn't seem to die. I wrote my way out, wrote everything down far as I could see. I wrote my way out. I looked up and the town had its eyes on me. They passed a plate around, and total strangers moved to kindness by my story. Raised enough for me to book passage on a ship that was New York bound. I wrote my way out of hell, I wrote my way to revolution. I was louder than the crack in the bell. I wrote Eliza love letters until she fell. I wrote about the Constitution and defended it well. And in the face of ignorance and resistance, I wrote financial systems into existence. And when my prayers to God were met with indifference, I picked up a pen, I wrote my own deliverance. In the eye of a hurricane there is quiet for just a moment. A yellow sky. I was 12 when my mother died. She was holding me. We were sick and she was holding me. I couldn't seem to die. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. I'll write my way out. Wait for it, wait for it, wait. Write everything down far as I can see. I'll write my way out. Overwhelm them with honesty. This is the eye of the hurricane. This is the only way I can protect my legacy. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait. The Reynolds pamphlet.
Our next performer was inspired by Bravo's slogan, "Elevate your talent," because how talented you are won't matter if you can't keep getting back up again after you fall, especially these days. Here's Bonnie Sludikoff.
What you got to do is finish what you have begun. I don't know just how, but it's not over till you've won. When you see the storm is coming, see the lightning part the skies, it's too late to run. There's terror in your eyes. What you do then is remember this old thing you heard me say. It's the storm, not you, that's bound to blow away. Hold on to someone standing by. Hold on, don't even ask how long or why. Child, hold on to what you know is true. Hold on and you'll get through. Child, oh child, hold on. When you feel your heart is pounding, fear a devil's at your door. There's no place to hide, you're frozen to the floor. What you do then is you force yourself to wake up and you say, it's this dream, not me, that's bound to go away. Hold on, the night will soon be by. Hold on, don't even ask how long or why. Child, hold on, there's angels on their way. Hold on and hear them say, child, oh child. And it doesn't even matter if the danger and the doom come from up above or down below, or just come flying at ya from across the room. When you see a man who's raging and he's jealous and he fears that you've walked through walls he's hid behind for years, what you do then is you tell yourself to wait it out and say, it's this day, not me, that's bound to go away. Child, hold on, it's this day, not you, that's bound to go away.
met my good friend and co-counselor Rachel Bomston when she attended Camp Bravo between 2002 and 2006. We bonded over many things, but specifically a love of bizarre musical theater. In particular, we became obsessed with a musical parody of the first Lord of the Rings film, learning and singing the duets in our free time at camp for our own amusement. When Rachel introduced this show to her roommate Amanda earlier this year, they knew they needed to learn one duet in particular, which is close to our hearts.
I always thought, since I was up to there, that a highfalutin elf wouldn't catch me if I fell, 'cause I always thought they were all about their hair, and their beady little eyes, and their heightened sense of smell. They're fancy and prancy, always talking to the trees, so full of themselves. If you need a job done, whatever you do, please don't go to the elves. But this one here has changed my mind, and now I'm caught. I guess we're not as different as I thought. I always thought that the dwarves were just stupid. No sense of beauty, just hair and dirt and farts. And I heard they eat their children and pick their dirty dwarf teeth with the dwarf children's dirty dwarf bones. But we're both here, risking our lives that can't be all for naught. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. I guess we're not as different as I thought. I always thought that the dwarves were just stupid if I fell, 'cause no sense of beauty, just hair and dirt and farts and sense of smell. And I heard they eat so full of themselves and pick their dirty sharp teeth with the dwarf children's dirty dwarf bones. Don't go to the elves. But this one here has changed my mind. That can't be. And now I'm caught. Guess we're not as different as I thought. So your men look like women, so your women look like men. It's true, but now your race has got a face and the healing can begin. Looking in your eyes, I can't remember why we fought. I guess we're not as different as I thought. I guess we're not as different as I thought. As I thought. As we thought.
Submitted for the approval of the Bravo Midnight Society, Courtney, Nikki, Sam, and Margot call this story The Virus.
Hi. Wait, where are you?
Oh!
What are you doing?
I totally forgot about this.
Hi!
Yeah. Hi, it's so good to see you!
Oh my god, I miss your face.
I miss you too. It's so good to see you. It's been so long.
I know, I'm so bummed that we can't go up to camp this year.
Hey!
What's up, you guys?
Hi, oh my god, I miss you!
No, I miss you guys. What's up?
Your hair is so long.
Yo, it's got like curls now.
Yeah.
I've never seen this. I mean, that's when your internet connection is unstable.
Yeah.
No, my wife.
Lagging a lot.
Nikki!
Hi guys, I made it.
We were just making fun of Sam's Wi-Fi.
Since your Wi-Fi is being all weird, I wanted to ask, like, have you guys been noticing your phones being weird and your computers lately this last week?
I mean, a little bit. I've been having issues with, like, making calls, but, like, other than that, it's been fine.
I don't know. I get, like, a little bit paranoid, so I don't know if I'm being, like, crazy, but I was wondering if I could read you guys this article my friend sent me.
Okay, girl,
So,
it's like 10 o'clock, so please don't freak me out, but go for it. Like, I need to sleep.
Yeah, so starting on June 26th, a lot of smartphone users have been noticing issues with their phones. Phone companies are baffled at the influx of concerned customers demanding answers on how to fix their devices. But even more so as users realize it is not only their phones that are malfunctioning, but also their computers, smart TVs, Alexa devices, etc. Commonly reported issues have been devices turning on and off, computer cameras turning on, Alexa malfunctioning, and private photos from camera rolls being deleted. However, it seems to be that technicians are theorizing that this may be a new technological virus that is able to track your location and is sending that information back to an unknown source. There is no information on where the virus has originated or how it is able to infect all technological devices in a household. And then a warning from professionals is to turn off phones before bed and make sure doors and windows are locked. So, I don't know. Like, I've just been crazy.
No, I mean, I literally see those posts all the time. Like, that's nothing. That's not real.
But, like, what if it is real?
Freaking out lately. Like, I just feel...
Is someone else joining us?
Alright, are you doing this on purpose?
Okay, come on, Margot, this isn't funny.
No, it's not me. I didn't let anyone in.
Okay, well, you're telling us a joke. Or a thing you're supposedly scared about. Okay, come on, Margot. He's the host now?
It's not me. I didn't make him the host.
Okay, I don't like this.
You're in charge of what?
No, but I didn't do it.
I know.
Okay, it must be Josh.
For real.
That's Josh, right?
That's for sure Josh.
Go to this room. Courtney?
Wait, is...
That's not funny. Come back. Sam.
This isn't funny.
Stop, I don't like this.
What?
This next act is from the mama bear of my group of alumni friends. She is one of the most talented singers I have ever heard in my life. She's got the voice and heart of an angel, and I'm so excited for you guys to see her act. Please welcome Melissa Sackerson.
We met of all places in front of Christides, some freakishly cold winter's day. I had on several unflattering layers of wool. He slipped on the ice with his grocery bags full, so I rescued some Fruit Loops he dropped by the curb, and he made some remark that my smile was superb. And I thought that was sweet. And I started to go, and he said, hey, what you doing tomorrow? Because I'll be here at the corner of Bleecker and Mercer tomorrow at 7. If you want to meet up, I'll be waiting right here. And in case there are 2 fellas waiting for you, my name's John. He waved and then he was gone. Well, needless to say, I went back there to meet him, mostly to see if he'd show, and there he was out in the cold with his jacket pulled tight. He took me to dinner and kissed me goodnight. The next week we went to this terrible play, and the next week drank hot chocolate all day, and then suddenly 8 or 9 months had flown by, and he said, hey, what you doing the rest of your life? Because I'll be here right beside you as long as you want me to be. There's no question. There is nothing I've wanted so much in my life. This might sound immature, but I'm totally sure you're the one. And we had just begun. We got hitched in September, our favorite month, with a rock band that played in this old synagogue. And we bought an apartment on West 17th Street and talked about children and getting a dog. Our first anniversary came in a flash, and we promised to take the day off. He had to stop into his office that morning, and so I went walking uptown to this bakery I know, when I heard on the street what I thought was a joke, till I noticed the sirens and saw all the smoke. So I'm running back home with this feeling of dread, to the voicemail he left. The last words he said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to ruin your evening by bringing up all of this stuff. You're probably wondering why I even called you tonight. Well, today something happened that spooked me all right. I saw this storm cloud of papers fall down from the sky. And I thought of that day, and I started to cry. When as sure as I breathe, I heard John, clear as day, saying, hey, you're allowed to move on. It's okay, because I'll be here. Even if you decide to get rid of my favorite sweater, even if you go out on my birthday this year, instead of staying at home, letting all of life's moments pass by. You don't have to cry, because I'll be here when you start going back to the places we went to together. When you take off my ring and you let yourself smile. When you meet someone handsome and patient and true. When he says that he wants to be married to you. When you call him one night and he meets you downtown. When you finally answer him yes. Yes. Jason, I will marry you. I will give you my heart. It has taken so long, but I'm ready to start. Right now, John's whispering congrats in my ear. Because I finally let myself tell you that I will be here.
Working with Mackenzie on the Alumni Committee, the most important thing I've learned about her is that she is also a huge Dungeons & Dragons nerd. And even better, she turned Camp Bravo into a playable universe, which is now the core inspiration for her story tonight, which features the voices of 4 other Bravo campers, Caitlin, Natalie, Brett, and Alana. So join them as they take you into a world unknown. When the royal guard invaded the forest for the first time, the trees screamed. My mother knew exactly what that meant and wasted no time grabbing me and my brother Ren. As we ran through the trees, I saw everyone I'd ever known running with us. Then, a popping noise, louder than the forest had heard in my lifetime. Cries of anguish echoed every which way. It continued, and finally I saw the effect. It was a magic unlike any I'd experienced. About 10 feet in front of me, a woman collapsed. I screamed and cried, and my mother didn't even stop. She stepped on a woman's body as she pulled us along. Her blood pooled around her, her face stuck in a moment of terror. I tell myself every day that there was nothing I could have done. We kept running, and when we made it to the river, we were finally allowed to stop. I thought that it was over, at least for a while. I was still under the impression that at some point I get to return to my home. My mother knelt to look us in the eyes. She seemed like she was going to say something, but she couldn't decide what. Never before had I seen her so worried, not even when Dad left, not even when Ren got sick. Another loud bang sounded, so loud they must have been right next to me. Why couldn't I see them? The trees were thick, and there were so many creatures running through them. Where were the soldiers? Where had the noise come from? My searching had distracted me, but I finally looked back right in front of me. Ren, I said, as if he hadn't seen it, as if he wasn't now cradling Mom's head in his hands, as if her blood hadn't sprayed and covered us both. Ren, I say again, this time losing my composure.
We have to keep going.
No, we can't. We can't just leave her.
Alorna, run.
My brother had never been so serious, so I did what any child would do. I ran.
Her eyes seemed to take up most of her face. They were so prominent that it actually took me a few moments to process the blood. I wanted to clean it off, to tell her it would be okay, but it wouldn't be. This wasn't the first place they'd invaded, and hers wasn't the first family to be slaughtered in their quest to rid the world of magic. Somehow, that didn't make it any easier. "What's your name?" I asked her because I guess I like the pain of knowing.
Alorna.
"I'm Sinel. I know a place we can go," I told her, even though I wasn't sure that I did. Magic's birthplace was somewhat of a myth, but it was also our only chance. I'd thought about trying before, about following my first love, but I'd found somewhere safe, and that wasn't something easily left. Most people weren't too fond of fire spirits, being that most people have a natural fear of being set on fire. But if this little girl had found me, the soldiers would too. They wouldn't be far behind, and we had to keep moving. How long would we have to run? How long would I keep running? A gunshot sounded in the distance, and I flinched. Even after all I'd seen, I flinched. It was time to move. Willow's words from 40 years before rang in my ears as if she was still standing beside me.
You'll want to follow me someday, and my voice will guide you.
Her voice, sent with the wind all the way to me. Wind spirits really were something else. I began to climb up the mountain, Alorna following behind me.
I ran until I got to the base of the mountain, and that's when I noticed that Ren wasn't with me anymore. His name swelled inside me and almost made it out of my throat before I realized that yelling was not a good idea. Frantically, I searched the area around me for any sign of life. Nothing. This was it.
I was going to die in the woods just like my mother. Only this time it would be my fault, and I would be alone. Then a monster appeared. No, a fire spirit. Mom had told me about them, but there weren't any in our village. It was a being of pure fire. There was somehow a face and sort of a vague body, but it seemed like it was just a person caught in the state of burning to death. I wondered if this thing felt pain. She asked me for my name, and I told her. She was terrifying, and might accidentally kill me if I got too close, but she was my only hope. So I followed her.
The higher we got, the quieter the world around us was. It started to feel safe. Each step was one step further from the soldiers, one step closer to Willow. Willow. 40 years I'd spent forgetting her, trying to move on with my life, failing miserably to find happiness with anyone else.
Duck into this cave. It's a shortcut.
Willow's voice rang out. Without hesitation, I went in. Alorna did not share my same confidence. It's all right, I told her. This didn't seem to help.
Sanel waved me forward, her flames licking at the sides of the cave. I shook my head. If I went in there, I was sure to catch fire. But then my mother's body came into my mind. The face of the terrified woman we walked over. If I stayed out here, they would catch me. Why did they want to catch me? Why is this happening? I asked. She didn't have an answer. I followed her into the cave, keeping as much distance as I dared without falling into the darkness.
My flames illuminated the blood on her face in such a way that she seemed more creature than child. I tried not to look at her. Focusing ahead, I marched my way through the blackness, lighting the way as I went. It was a long path, and it was very steep most of the time. It took us hours to get through.
It had surely been days by the time we emerged into the sunlight. My tears had dried up, my stomach was wailing for food, and I thought I might fall over from exhaustion. Is this the safe place? I asked.
I think it is. The cave had led us out into a beautiful town square. Quaint wooden buildings, cobblestone streets, and carts of goods were all surrounded by people. And not just people. Spirits, fairies, elves, all manner of creatures. If this wasn't the birthplace of magic, then I couldn't imagine how magical that place would be. In this place, I felt safe. That was new.
How was it possible that everything here was brighter? The trees were the same as those I'd grown up with, yet somehow more. Everything in this place was more.
When I woke up, I was in some kind of cabin. Pine cones and various different artistic sculptures and paintings surrounded me. The last thing I remembered, I was running after my little sister in a blind panic. Alorna! Where was she? Had she been taken with me? My cabin was full of other people who had been fleeing. Groups huddled, wounded lay out on cots, and nurses flitted about the room. Alorna! I called, but there was no answer. Barely anyone even looked my way. I called her name again and again as I pushed my way to the door. I exploded out onto a path. It wound through the woods, and I saw many other cabins along it. How long would it take before I found her? Was she even here?
She's here.
A voice came out in the wind. A wind spirit, it had to be. I didn't know how they'd found us or if they were telling the truth, but I had to trust them.
As we stood at the edge of the square, I wondered if Willow would give me more instructions. Was I meant to find her on my own from here? I had no idea where I would even begin. I looked down at Alorna to find her little hands pressed down into the ground. Her eyes were closed in what seemed to be concentration.
Magic lived here. It breathed through the ground, up through me, and into the air. It was in the heart of every being here, each person giving it life. The magic gave them life in return. As I pressed my hands down onto the stones, I felt my sadness lift somehow. It still hurt, but the magic seemed to give me hope. That might have been a better word for this force than magic. Hope.
The voice kept leading me, telling me which paths to take. My hope grew with every step, despite my usual distrust of spirits who wouldn't reveal themselves. My walking turned to running, cold, crisp air hitting my face. This place must be on the mountain. I reached a clearing and was able to look out. There it was, my home, sprawled out below. It looked so peaceful from up here. It almost distracted me from my mission to find Alorna. Almost.
Someone was yelling Alorna's name. She was so wrapped up in whatever she was doing that she didn't even seem to notice. I almost reached out to nudge her, but I knew better than to touch a human without their permission. Even if it wouldn't burn her, she'd be hurt. "Alorna's here!" I yelled back into the crowd. I didn't want to leave her side.
"Alorna!"
The call came again, but this time in relief. He'd seen her.
My sister was squatting on the ground, her face still smeared with blood and tears, and a fire spirit loomed over her. It was the worst I'd ever seen her. I had never been happier.
I watched as brother found sister, and my Sanel was congratulated. I wondered if she had been touched since I last saw her. The joy around this little group was palpable, so pure, I almost let it be. Then I saw Sanel's eyes, and I stepped out of the shadows for the first time in years. "My love," I said, "you came." And her eyes were bright once more.
By day, you might see him escorting celebrities down the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival or the Emmys or the Oscars. By night, you might see him in a bar in Hell's Kitchen doing some high kicks and a death drop. Just kidding, we're not doing that right now. Anyway, my longtime friend, so happy to introduce to you, Brian Chang, aka Miss Juicy Lou.
Listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds. Try and keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you tears. Go ahead, release your fears. Stand up and be counted, don't be ashamed to cry. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Herald what your mother said, read the books your father read, trying to solve the puzzles in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you, others take a different view. My, oh my, yeah, yeah. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wild. unfolds. Challenge what the future holds. Try to keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you tears. Go ahead, release your fears. My, oh my, You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Got to be bold, got to be bad, got to be wise, don't ever sad. Got to be hard, not too hard. All I know is love will save the day. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together.
One of my favorite things about camp was always the sense of possibility. And that's been my favorite thing about being on the alumni committee. Just a bunch of weeks ago, I said, hey guys, can we do an online cabaret? And now here we are. We've just finished a whole weekend of events. Even in a pandemic, our creative minds cannot be stopped. And there's more where that came from. So join us if you'd like to. We're here to create events for you, to fundraise for camp, to keep all of the stuff about Bravo that we love alive. Here's the final act. To really get into it, you have to also remember another one of my favorite things about camp, which was being in that state of mind where nothing is too silly. I really tried to collaborate on this. It didn't turn out exactly the way I planned, but you can't say that I didn't do well at getting a colorful cast of characters to help me out. Thanks for watching.
I wish I could go back to Bravo. Life was so simple back then. What would I give to go back and live in a cabin with bunk beds again?
I wish I could go back to Bravo. At Bravo you know who you are.
You sit in the lodge and think, oh my god, I am gonna be such a big star. How do I go back to Bravo? I don't know who I am anymore.
I want to go back to my room and find a color-coded schedule taped to the door.
Whoa, I wish I could just take a class. Or go see a live play. Or hang around in the lodge.
Oh, me.
I need to count directors and an Uber to point the way. We could be sitting in our living rooms, 4 a.m. before self-tape auditions are due, cursing the world cause we didn't start sooner, and adding the social distance too. I wish I could go back to Bravo. How do I go back to Bravo? Oh, I wish I had taken more pictures.
But if me were to go back to Bravo, think how weird and you would be.
I've aged out for sure, but this love is so pure. Good thing we have a cool alumni